Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
So apparently, word came out yesterday. Joe Biden made a lovely speech, and now he is requiring that all companies, private companies, if they have more than 100 employees, require that their employees either be vaccinated or they have to get a test done every single week. Now, what's extremely hypocritical about this fact is the fact, number one, Biden ran on saying he did not support the concept of vaccine mandates, okay? But that being said, now that he's president, he's obviously flipped on that decision, much like every other thing he does. He flips, regardless of how you feel about raising the minimum wage, he ran on doing it. He flipped on it. I really am surprised he didn't flip on the whole withdrawal from Afghanistan. And I've given my thoughts on that. And I give what I consider credit where credit is due. But of course, now he's doing exactly like I figured he would do in the past. He is absolutely throwing that away. He's made a complete waste out of it. Less than a month after he did something that I'm going to give him credit for, now he is, of course, doing something that is extremely authoritarian. If this were Donald Trump that did it, you would have all of these, lefty Democrat type folks up in arms. Antifa would be hitting the streets ready to go burn the White House down at that point. I mean, that's what you would have had Trump done something like this, okay? And look, Trump is a buffoon in of himself. Am I going to say Trump wouldn't have done something like that? He very well could have, for all I know. Hell, I don't know. I feel like he's obviously trying to play to the right-wing base. Obviously, a lot more people on the right have a distrust of this, but it's not only Republicans. But what kills me is the people like Kyle Kulinski, okay? And I'm probably going to make more videos on this whole topic when I get back to South Carolina and I can get back in my normal room. I might even invite someone on to talk about it, but I had to put something out about this for now. You got people like Kyle Kulinski, and look, okay, I don't like Kyle Kulinski the way that I used to, okay? I used to really watch a lot of Kyle Kulinski back in the day, but now I still watch the guy from time to time, but he really, really, really has disappointed me in the last couple of years. Okay. In particular, it's like he's so desperate for some sort of a lefty hero that now that Joe Biden has finally done something, like withdrawing from Afghanistan, he is going to kiss Biden's ass with every move he makes, or at least try. Because if he doesn't think there's some bullshit excuse to come up with, maybe he'll call him out. But at the end of the day, he's definitely just kissing up to Biden's ass at this point. So he goes over on Twitter. I retweeted this and gave my thoughts, but I'm going to address it here. I'm going to paraphrase and summarize this. He says that what Biden did is not an overreach of government, and he is not authoritarian because he is not forcing you to get the vaccination. He's giving you the option that you either have to get vaccinated, basically, or you have to take a weekly test. Okay, Kyle. For a guy who is supposed to be such a political brilliant genius, you've been doing this for years and years and years and years and years now, right? You've been covering politics for over a decade. You were signed by people like TYT. You've done stuff with Jimmy Dore. Regardless of what you've been doing content-wise the last couple of years, you're a pretty established guy. I would assume you've probably got some common sense, right? Like, why else would people be listening to you if you have no common sense? So you should know before you open your mouth. You should be smarter than me. You know why? Because I'm just the old redneck from South Carolina. What do I know? I still have to work a full-time job. I do this as a hobby. You do this as your full-time gig. And you mean to tell me that I know more about what we're about to break down here than you do? I find that hard to believe. So it's either you're really fucking stupid or you're a gaslighting bullshitter. Now, you can be the one to tell us which one it is. I'm not going to make that assumption for you. You come out, let the world know which one it is. But the point being, testing, in a lot of cases, it ain't free. It ain't free. Now, let's assume that a lot of these places who have rules about testing right now, let's say they change it, because a lot of places, like my job, say if you get tested, you got to be out until you get a negative test result. They also say if you've come into contact, you've got to quarantine for 3 to 5 days. But we'll say because I got tested every week, that is obviously out the window. But if it's not a rapid test, and you've got to wait until you get your test results could take 24 to 48 hours or longer. So what are people supposed to do? Potentially pay for a test and then miss days of work to wait on their results too. So let me understand this. Kyle, because you're the one always talking about how people can't afford health care. You're the one always talking about how people need a raise in wage. You're the one that is always talking about how incomes are not enough and people can't afford the cost of living. And yet you're going to fucking defend Biden on some bullshit about how he's giving people a choice. The choice that involves potentially having to pay money to get these test results and potentially miss days of work to wait on those test results. And this is every fucking week. Or just get the vaccination. The answer here is real fucking simple, Kyle. That is going to strong arm people into getting a vaccination they may not feel comfortable taking. This is not a fucking guess. This is not a debate. When you put the screws to people financially, they're probably going to go along and get something whether they really wanted to or not. You know why? Because people need to make a living. And when you literally screw them over, potentially risk ripping their way of life and their living they make away from them, what do you think they're going to fucking do? Okay, so now that we've established these tests, in some cases, maybe even in most cases, are not always free. So who's paying for it? It's either going to be the people that don't want to get the vaccine, or, this is probably what Kyle would say, make the jobs pay for it. Okay, let's break that one down, Kyle. Now, you're the one that's always talking about how greedy these corporations are, right? You're the one that's always talking about how billionaires should not exist and capitalism and corporate greed fucks everything. This is your talking point. So you think that the government's just going to wag its finger and tell corporations to pay for this to happen. Let's say Biden endorses something. I didn't hear him say that, by the way, but we'll say he does. What if he tells everyone, okay, corporations will pay for your testing as well if you just don't want to get the vaccine? I don't think it's going to happen, but we'll say it does. Guess which one the corporations will then start doing, Kyle? The corporations will then turn around in some to possibly even most cases and say, we're going to start requiring that all of our employees take the vaccine. You know why? Because then if you get vaccinated, they don't have to pay for tests every fucking week, and neither do you. You're vaccinated, we've met the requirement, we're good to go. If something happens 2 years, fuck it, we don't care. We met what the federal government said we had to do, yada, yada, yada. We'll save our money. That whole corporate greed thing you talk about all the time. It's so amazing, Kyle, how you love to come on that show, talk about these fucking things, but when it's Biden nut-sucking time, you don't fucking want to acknowledge any of that bullshit on Twitter. Not fucking once do you tell the same things you tell your audience in a YouTube video when it isn't pertaining to something like this. But now, all of a sudden, Big Pharma, who you have bitched about all these years, we owe everything to vaccines because vaccines are wonderful and vaccines have cured this and that. Yes, Kyle, and most of those vaccines were created long fucking time ago in a different fucking period in our world. And those vaccines work. How many people do you know of that got vaccinated for smallpox that are currently still catching smallpox. Now, some of these vaccinations you need boosters for, but we're talking years for these booster shots. Okay? This is more like the flu shot. And I do not consider the flu shot to be a vaccine. The last time I had the flu, I got a flu shot. Now you look at this COVID vaccine. You need a third booster shot in less than a year's time. And even if you get it, you could still catch it. Oh, but you're just less likely to go to the hospital. You're just less likely to die from it. So explain to me how that is a vaccination, because from my understanding, if I'm vaccinated, I should be immune to this damn thing. That's how most vaccines in decades prior seem to work. That's how they seem to work, right? But this does not work that way. So you tell us, and you know, really though, Kyle, should this be surprising to you, in all honesty? Because again, people like Kyle have been the same one to tell us for years and years and years and years how big pharma is so greedy. And even a guy like me can understand big pharma is, of course, that greedy because they are a private business and a private entity wants to make money. And as I've said before, and Kyle, even yourself, has admitted this, there isn't a profit in a cure. There is a profit in a treatment, just like every other drug dealer. We don't want to give you something that would fix you up for life. I want your business. I want you to keep returning to me. That's how capitalism, businesses, capitalist business, that's how they operate. They want returning customers. And you think Pfizer, Moderna, or any of these other fucking companies making any kind of medicine is any fucking different. They want returning customers. And so since they're the people who made this, you really thought this was going to be different just because there's a pandemic? Well, if so, then please, by all means, explain to me why you've got Pfizer executives leaked on tape admitting the fact, Kim Iverson covered this about 5 months ago, by the way, why they're caught talking about how this vaccine could become profitable when it turns into something like the flu shot, because this will become an endemic. Not a pandemic, but an endemic. And an endemic is something you're going to be dealing with for a very, 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 very long fucking time. So you've already got the fucking officials of these companies saying this is what they're planning on doing. That we're going to start being able to profit from these vaccines when it basically becomes a yearly fucking thing and you got to go get jabbed a couple of times. And you're going to put that aside and defend them in this instance, even though you've been bitching about them for years, how we need Medicare for all, our system sucks, we pay too much for our meds, but now you're going to defend the same crooked fucking assholes over this issue. No fucking different than how you constantly criticize your corporations, yet all of a sudden now you think that because Biden said something, they're going to just do the right fucking thing? What world do you live in? I'll say it again. Either you're really fucking stupid or you're a bullshit gaslighter right now. Point fucking blank. This is going to hurt a lot of fucking people, and it's going to basically railroad them and strong arm them into taking something they might not feel comfortable with, but they're going to do it so they don't lose their fucking job, lose the income that keeps their business or their homes or whatever afloat, okay? They're going to do what they have to do to keep surviving if it means injecting themselves with something that they don't feel comfortable with. And you're going to fucking defend Biden and make excuses for that little sack of shit in it. No, fuck that. You know, regardless of how you feel about the issue of abortion, for years we've heard my body, my choice. You yourself has also defended that argument. But now, when people like me or other people who don't feel comfortable with this thing say my body, my choice, you toss it out the fucking window. And then you make bullshit arguments to defend authoritarian Uncle Joe Biden. Well, congratulations. You're just exposing what sort of a fucking crack Democrat hack you really are deep down inside. And there's no wonder you lasted on the TYT network as long as you fucking did. Jimmy Dore pretty much describes people like you best. You're a shit lib, dude.